Do you know what you're getting yourself into? So, with a quick yes or no answer, I would like to know, how do you feel about, were you aware that architecture was going to be the way it is, studying architecture, how it is? Did you feel like you knew what that was before you started?
I feel like, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Oh, okay, so you said only two you did not know what you were getting into. Okay. Well, I will say when I was a freshman, I had no idea what it was going to be like studying architecture. I just knew, I want to study architecture. I had no idea what that would be like. And, there's a very romanticized view of what studying architecture is like. So that's why I'm happy to introduce the 4th episode of ARCHITORTURE, the podcast, Freshmen Feels. And here I have 6 ARCHITORTURE freshmen here at USC, and I'm very, very excited to get your perspective on what studying architecture for the first time actually is like, aside from maybe what you thought before. So with that, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amidst, and I'm from the Bay Area.
Bay Area.
I'm Abba Collins. I'm from Frisco, Texas, which is near Dallas area.
My name is Nyla Johnson, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
I'm Bryce Tran, and I'm from Orange County.
I'm Georgina Glaive, and I'm from England.
I'm Taiwo Minami. I'm from Massachusetts.
And I'm Janae, and I'm from the Bahamas, and here we are. All right, so my first question is, why in the world did you decide to study architecture?
It's a really packed question, but for me personally, I grew up in China, so kind of growing up near a whole different, I guess, landscape, and then moving to the Bay Area made me realize like how much architecture has involved, or like its involvement in my life, and how much it can influence someone's perspective. So I kind of delved into that a little bit more in high school, and just I kind of explored it, and I enjoyed art and I enjoyed math, so it was kind of a good mix. So yeah, that's for me.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of like, so I was always like an art kid, and so I grew up wanting to do something revolving around art, but my mom said no, so then I was like, okay. So then we ended up looking at different like careers that were related to art, but then I could also have a stable career in, and people are always in need of space. And so with architecture, it started out as a way to like find art in a career that I could see myself working in. But then eventually it was more of like my sort of way that I could help people, because everyone needs space, and space is everywhere.
Yeah, I would have to agree with most of Abba's points there. I feel like when I was little, most of my like hobbies and like included some kind of like design or like craft or just like making things. Like one of my like favorite hobbies now is crocheting, and the idea of just like making something out of nothing is like very interesting to me, and I would like to design spaces for communities that like actually need it, and like how it could benefit them.
Yeah, for me, I like agree with most of what you guys are saying too. But my dad's actually an architect, and he tried to get me into architecture when I was really young, and I disagreed with him so much. I was like, I am never, ever going to be an architect. But, like, I like Minecraft, and I was going into high school, I was, like, such a STEM girly, and one of my classes, we were, like, building robots, and it had, like, a bunch of art and, like, engineering involved with it, and then it kind of made me realize, like, oh, wait, I can, like, combine the two things and do something I enjoy, and then I was like, oh, wait, that's architecture. So, yeah, that's basically it.
For me, I don't even know why I'm here, honestly. I just remember looking at my year 6 yearbook, and it was like, yeah, I want to be an architect. And I was like, well, I guess so. Yeah, I'm here. But I just realized that architecture is more than just like aesthetic buildings. Like in London, the buildings are just like copied and pasted down the street. And I do not like that. Like, why are they not different? So that needs to change.
For me, well, I wouldn't really consider myself like an art kid. I never really was into art like that. But I think what architecture does is take something like graphic design or painting, and which is these 2D mediums, and then turn it into something that's really tangible, which is what I felt was missing from all the studies that I was doing in high school.
And I mean, I've said this 1,000 times, but I got into architecture because of Barbie. That's just what it was. And here I am. And I mean, like Georgina, I knew I wanted to do architecture, but I had no idea what it was. And before I started school, if anything, I was just like, how am I supposed to do architecture? Because I have no idea what this is. But luckily, you come to architecture school to learn architecture. Who would have thought? So you didn't have to know anything before. But I would love to know from any of you, what was the one thing you were looking forward to the most when you were like, yeah, I'm going to architecture school. It's the summer before, but I can't wait to do it.
I think for me, it was definitely studio culture. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, including yours. And so I was like, oh, wait, they actually have a lot of fun. It's kind of, you bond through a lot of experiences, whether that be good or bad. But I knew that I was going to find a good community of people who I shared a passion with. So I knew that I was going to find a good group of friends. And I was excited. So, yeah.
For me, I was most excited to just make stuff. I just love projects and just the whole idea of having a project and then building it. And it was always fascinating to me, and so getting more and more projects was an interesting thing that I wanted to pursue.
Yeah, I was most looking forward to just building stuff, honestly. But I didn't anticipate how great our first semester studio culture would be, and I really grown to appreciate that.
Yeah, I have to agree with again what you guys are saying, but definitely studio culture, because when I was around the same people from literally kindergarten till high school, so being in LA, it's awesome meeting people from so many different places and really bonding over very traumatic experiences. I'm exaggerating. It was, yeah. But yeah, it's been great so far.
Well, for me, other than looking forward to not sleeping, I also liked the creativity aspect of it. Just I could use my creative skills in a different mindset.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I would say I don't really know if I have anything to add to that. I mean, I think I didn't really know what to expect, so I was just thinking, oh, well, sometime in the future it would be cool to build buildings like the ones that I really like. So that was all that I was thinking.
Well, getting into architecture, you have a list of expectations, and then you have the reality. So, I mean, I have 3 simple expectations which I saw listed online. You can tell me what the reality of it is, whether you agree or disagree. But the first one I have here, and this is taken from junkie.com, is architecture is one of the most difficult degrees you can do. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think that it really hasn't been that difficult since you've started? What do you think?
I have a twin sister that also goes here, and she's a business major, which, hey, no shame. But her course load is definitely a lot lighter than the architecture course load. So just comparing our schedules, I was like, oh, so you don't have as many classes as I do. You don't spend as many hours on your work as I do. And I don't know, so maybe that does hold true, but I can't say for any other majors. I don't know specifically everyone else's schedules, so I don't want to compare too much, but it is a lot harder than I anticipated, just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, architecture does have the one of the heaviest units, the necessary units to graduate than a lot of other people taking fun classes,
yeah.
just oh yeah, I have a yoga class, not
It was necessary to cope with.
It's a good de-stressing.
I didn't need to say yoga specifically, but I mean I have some people
Yeah.
whose entire course load is just yoga, and then after that they may have mindfulness.
Yeah.
But when they say they have one class a day, and I'm like, oh really?
They're like, it's been really rough.
Yeah, really?
But how big is your class? Or actually, no, I should start. At the beginning of last semester, how big was your class?
Oh, it's
We had
shrink.
100, right?
Yeah, but I think we
We
had
had a
about
lot.
I
100.
feel we had
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Like
So-
120, I think.
flies.
I'm interested to know. Not being a freshman, I'm interested to know how many people have dropped architecture since last semester?
Maybe like a little less than 20.
30.
No, no way, not 30. 30 is insane.
I mean, last year it was like
People you
half.
forget,
It's
okay?
probably around like 15.
I think
Yeah,
so. 15.
10 or 15.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a lot, but yeah, that happens, I guess. Did they like switch to? Do you know what kind of majors they switched to?
I know someone that switched into astrophysics.
Wow. Okay.
Was it that? I don't know. She said architecture wasn't enough math.
Yeah.
I
There
think
was
that's
someone who switched into like civil engineering.
Okay.
Not enough.
Someone did. I don't know.
Yeah, there's one.
Someone did. Is it? It's like one of the ones in Roski.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
switch to
design.
arts.
Yeah.
Just design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
Well,
didn't like the hours.
That definitely happens. So then the next expectation that some people go into architecture is thinking that it's all about drawing and designing buildings.
No.
Really?
Really?
I think it
At
is.
least the semester was
Yeah.
long, right?
When they're starting off, they want you to think more about form and like formal elements and qualities rather than focusing on specific aspects of buildings per se. They want you to be able to think like compositionally. So you're doing more so sculptural work rather than actual, this is a library with this sort of these things. But like now we're starting to get introduced to that sort of concept of introducing program or like specific rooms and spaces.
Yeah, because architecture is more about learning to problem solve. So I mean, yes, eventually, once you start, like in your upcoming years, you learn more about architectural things like actual building and building systems and materials. But I guess the start is really thinking about how to problem solve, the idea of composition, maybe the idea of aesthetics as well, in maybe your history class. But it's not all about drawing and designing buildings yet. But I mean, if you're interested about that, this is the field where you'll do it. Just not yet. So what is your project this semester?
Well, right now I guess last year they started introducing Grasshopper, so this semester we're mainly using Grasshopper to just design, I don't know, shapes. I don't know, just letting the algorithm choose, I guess. But
I recently learned it was like generative AI, so like you just plug it in with Lunchbox and it just does it for you.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we're learning how to use Grasshopper this semester, really.
See, that's cool. I mean, I don't know a lick of Grasshopper yet. I mean, I'll get it maybe, but I think that's really cool. Back in my day, we were using, this semester we just started learning Rhino, and we just stopped using AutoCAD.
Oh.
Yeah, all of the first semester was just AutoCAD, and then all of the semester was just Rhino. But you did all of that.
Yeah, we did not
We
touch
skipped
AutoCAD.
that.
Really?
Not a
You don't
single
know
bit of
AutoCAD.
AutoCAD.
Well, you don't want to. You don't want to. So you don't want
That's
to.
good.
It's
Yeah.
cool. No, but Grasshopper, no, y'all are gonna, the next generation is looking promising. 'Cause you know, Grasshopper is
But I feel like they haven't taught us how to use it practically.
Yeah.
We were just given a script, and I mean our professor like went through the script and described like what does what, but then that was kind of it. We just don't know how to code anything ourselves, kind of like, I don't know.
We'll get
Well,
there. I think we get
maybe.
there.
I think you will get there. Like the practicing of even
Yeah.
just starting with something, it kind of just throws you into it. So what I realized is in architecture, they don't really teach you how to do stuff. You figure it out.
Yeah.
When it comes to even the programs, they don't like sit you down. They may sit you down and have like one tutorial, but at the end of the day, you're like, TA, how do I do this? What is the correct command? And so on and so forth. And you just learn how to do it. So them just like throwing Grasshopper onto you, you're picking up stuff you haven't even realized. And from there, I'm sure you will start developing your own scripts and whatnot. So are you going to say something, Tayo?
I was gonna disagree.
Oh,
Actually.
go ahead. Hot topic. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go back a bit to the whole like we're just learning the program thing, but like I think it kind of speaks to like this entire year in general, where we're just trying to find form in things. We're not exactly, deliberate, like very meticulously determining program or anything. It's really just about finding form. And like you guys also know this, like our last semester was like just that. We didn't do any program. Like most of the other studios in their final projects, they were doing program.
Yeah.
We did not really do program, we were mostly just doing compositional stuff. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, my question is, do you like your project right now? Or would you rather be doing something else?
I like it.
Absolutely not.
I like
Not
it.
for me.
I mean,
it's like a chill project.
I like the idea of it, like making a market expansion. I think that's fun. I just don't like using Grasshopper. I don't feel like we have a lot of control over it, so I'm not the biggest fan of it.
It doesn't feel designed. It feels like we need an excuse to learn Grasshopper.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree.
But
Because,
yours looks cool though.
because yeah, I like Grasshopper because it like makes me think of things that I never thought of, and I just
Yeah.
like plug it in. And I'm like,
I
wow,
agree with
like this
that.
is an error, but like it kind of looks cool, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna keep
yeah.
you.
I like Grasshopper. It's just that at least for our studio, our instructor is very much emphasizing it, and so it feels hard to. It almost feels limiting in a way where you can't really choose what you really want to do. You have to let Grasshopper figure it out through Grasshopper, which feels a little. Yeah.
So, oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, we get to, at least from my studio, we're designing the bounding boxes. So basically, we're designing like the bigger form, and then Grasshopper is making like the more intricate designs of it, which some people may enjoy, some people may not enjoy, but it's interesting. I think it's interesting.
So freshman year is an interesting year because as you say you're in second year, you make it to second year and you go on through architecture, you realize that there may be semesters you like and semesters you don't like because of professors, because of the projects you have. But when you're a freshman and this is your first time studying architecture, if the first semester you don't like your professor, you don't like your project, you may be like, architecture isn't for me, and that may be the reason you drop out. Versus, say you get a really good project one semester, a really great semester, you're like, oh, I love architecture, it's meant for me. So it's a really tricky area of either I like my project, I don't like it, but how do I know that architecture I still enjoy despite the ups and downs? So I don't know what's keeping you in architecture so far. I mean, it's only second semester, but what's keeping you here?
The community. I think it's the community.
Okay.
And, like, I think we all know how different every professor is. It's just, like, you gotta hold on at least for a year, I feel like. At least a year, just to
Yeah.
figure out, like, hey, maybe the second semester professor will be a little different. Maybe they'll share, like, a similar style as me. But just, like, hearing from the other studios, listening to their experiences, and then, I don't know, like, still sharing a passion with our peers, I think that's really encouraging. So that's why I'm still around, at least.
Yeah. I'm still here because I like making stuff, so I want to make more stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And like I just like realized that this semester isn't all what architecture is. Like we're not gonna be doing this like for all 5 years. So like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, definitely. I don't know. I can't see myself doing anything else now. Even though, like, even before with my dad, I was just like, oh, I would never ever do this. Like, I can't. Like, I don't think I can do that. But now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, this is actually really fun. It's like really cool. There's a lot of things that go into designing a space that people don't usually think of, and there's like so much that we can do to actually help our communities and whatnot that, like, very often get overlooked by guess bystanders or people that aren't very aware of it. So yeah, it's coming here, I've just learned how impactful architecture actually is.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's just like knowing that everyone is going through it together, like Lily said. It's just that you think you're like down in the dumps, you're like, I can't do this. And then you look around you and everyone's just feeling the same way. And you just walk around the studio, you see like black lines under everyone's eyes. And it's just like, no, everyone's feeling the same. So just knowing everyone's the same as I am, I'm here.
I mean, I think I just enjoy learning about architecture. You know, when I got here, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do architecture because I had some other alternative majors that I was considering. But, you know, after getting here, I really enjoyed my first semester a lot due to the work, like the studio culture. And I think another thing to consider is like, well, one of my great TAs once said, if you know, you should really, well, you don't have to know what you want to get out of architecture in 5 years, but that's something that you should definitely be considering, because you don't want to be, say, 3-4 years down the line and be like, oh, I don't know what I want to get out of this. Do I want to change majors? It's a little bit too late at that point, but you know, you get the idea.
Yeah, I agree. And also, disclaimer: we are in a active studio. My editing team, aka me, will try our best to take out the background noise, but please bear with us because we are in the studio, quite literally in the middle of ARCHITORTURE. So thank you very much. So once again, we can all agree that architecture is a little bit difficult, even though we enjoy it. It's a little bit difficult, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I want to know, what's your biggest challenge so far? Or what has been one of your biggest challenges in architecture? Or you can be like, to be honest, I haven't really had one. Like, I've been having a great time, which is also great.
I guess for me, it was working with the professor's style. I think going into architecture, I had a style. It was my style, but you kind of have to learn your professor's style and work with what they want. So I had a hard time kind of easing into that process. And also time management. I think that's something that's probably been brought up a good amount of times, but like, I didn't realize how much time you have to spend on certain things. Something that our great TA said to us was that if you expected something to take like 2 hours, like at least double it or triple it. Like, it's gonna take a lot more time than you think. And I would double it, and it would be double that. So now I do the double. So yeah, those are my challenges.
It sounds like an In-N-Out order.
Oh yeah.
For me, obviously the time management is an issue, but also just like trying to, I guess, think of different ideas. So, like, trying not to be so obvious with what I design, in a way. I just want what I make to be cool. So I'm always trying to like think about a way that I can make it more complicated than it needs to be. And then that ends up like shooting myself in the foot because like I could have made something more simple, but I didn't. So then now I have to deal with the consequences.
For me, it's probably just like having a purpose with like design choices, because I feel like I've like, especially first semester and like a little now, I've like struggled with like, if a professor asks me why I did something, I say I don't know, which is like
so real.
which is like the worst answer to give. But yeah, it's just like thinking critically about things.
No, I definitely agree with that. Like, I struggled with that a lot last semester. I feel like I think too much, but not enough at the same time. Like, I don't think my thinking has, I don't know, I don't think I make like purposeful choices a lot in architecture, which I definitely did not think that would happen. I don't know. Like, I struggled with that a lot last semester, and I think I am still struggling with it this semester, but definitely struggling with pleasing the professor, but also doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because definitely last semester, I was like, oh, I have to make my professor like me. Like, I have to do what he wants to do, and then that just did not work out well. So I definitely think this semester I've done a better job at sort of keeping my own peace of mind, but, you know, definitely still working on it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Bryce that like last semester was very much like what the professor wanted, but this semester is like I'm kind of finding my own aesthetic and how I want to present my work. A great person told me, who shall not be named, that there's three things: work, rest, and play. And one has to be sacrificed. And last semester I was sacrificing rest a lot because like being a freshman, you just want to get into like the USC culture, and you want to go out and experience stuff, and like your friends are like, oh, let's go out, and then you're like, no, I need to do 10 hours of 10 hours of Rhino, and they're like, what's Rhino? And then I'm saying grasshopper.
Yeah.
So,
Next bunny.
so yeah, it's just the sacrifice, but I'm learning this semester how to like better manage my time.
Yeah, I've got to agree with everyone else's sentiments. I don't really have much else to add. I mean, I would say sometimes, you know, there are those moments where, you know, your professor will tell you to do something and they'll explain it like it's super easy, and then in the end it'll take you like 5 hours of just staring at the screen to figure out. So like in those moments it can feel pretty hopeless, but yeah.
We'll get there.
Well, I'm curious to know, have any of you pulled any all-nighters?
Last semester was so bad.
The double one?
I was the first one for the double one.
So we were all in the same studio last
yeah,
semester.
yeah.
That's how we're all like friends. But we did so many all-nighters last semester, and like we did pull a double all-nighter because we had a study model due on Thursday, and then the following day we had a pinup for our other studio class. So that was an experience.
Bad.
Well, do you have at least one person in your class, right, who has never pulled an all-nighter up to this point? Oh.
Skylar.
Skylar off to the side.
Yeah, in our studio we
In
have
our
one
studio,
person.
It's
I think it
unavoidable.
depends on the professor.
No, I know. In our studio we have one person.
It's
Skylar.
I thought you meant last semester. I was like,
No,
there's
no,
no
no,
way.
no, no.
There's no way.
Last semester we were all not sleeping.
Yes.
Oh, so there's not a single student from last semester who did not.
No.
At least in our studio.
Not
in our
studio.
Yeah, because our professor
It's
worked us.
It's professor specific, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, he's a great professor.
Yeah.
It's just-
Oh,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
he's a
Oh,
great
no, I
professor.
know he's great. I
Yeah.
didn't know that he would be the one that. Wow,
Really?
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, it was
No, like
awful.
he worked us like we were like
Dogs.
like no, like he like it was his company and we were losing money and we had to like
We
catch
had a-
up.
Yeah. He was almost proud of us for pulling an all-nighter.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you guys pulled all-nighters.
Really?
Yeah, he was almost proud.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We're all suffering together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's what brought our like studio culture
Yeah, it's
very
bonding.
much.
It's very much bonding.
Wow. Well, we're gonna get into studio culture in a second, but I mean, you all will have to explain to me what the dynamic of your year is like. But I find it very interesting and very contrasting to like my current year. But I mean, as you in architecture, every single year is different. Every single year has like their thing. They're a certain type of way. My year, the second year, is really bad. Like when I say really bad, like they don't care what the professors say. We're like, how about we collectively all don't meet the deadline and then we're
We should try that.
I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that's what has happened. But I say that because you talked about, really fitting your aesthetic or your drawings to what the professor wants, which is interesting because I think now more what I try is I really want to push what I want, not what the professor wants.
Yeah.
And the thing with architecture, what you realize, is very subjective. At the end of the day, you have to question, okay, I mean, my professor told me so and so. I can value that they said this, and I can value that they said that. But I can't say I necessarily agree with so on and so forth. Because the way with architecture, there's no like rubric, which means like if you have a door, you're good. If you have a window, you're good. It's more of, I don't like how that shape is, or maybe I don't like how that looks, but it varies with every single person. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make your own laws. You're gonna have to decide for yourself, hey, this is the architect I want to be. This is the aesthetic I want. So you may have to start pushing back on your professors. And sometimes they will give you certain advice because they don't see your vision the way you do. But like, listen, trust the process. Like, let me tell you, when we get to the end, you're really gonna like listen to me. So as you go on, I mean, I'm so happy that you all listen to your professors. Go y'all. No, that's great. But as you go on, just remember that you're taking what you value the most and starting to construct that into what you want to be, who you want to be as an architect, or as a designer, whatever you choose to use architecture for. But now I'm interested to know, how would you like describe the dynamic of your year? Or maybe y'all can start with this. Like, what's going on here?
I think this is studio specific.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I don't know if you want to talk.
You can go.
Okay, I think, long story short, I think our studio was the loudest. Like, we were
Yes.
probably the most annoying studio.
Everyone hated us.
Yeah.
Wow.
'Cause
Okay.
we were always there, and we
Yeah.
were always loud. But I definitely think our studio has the best studio culture. Just kidding.
No.
Not kidding.
Wow. Well, so the biggest part of an architecture education is studio. And so with that, you get studio culture. For those of you who may not know what studio is, it's basically the core class of our schedule. It may differ by, different architecture schools and maybe different semesters, especially for your year, but it's usually 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 hours, and that's what it's going to be for the rest of your degree, just so you know. Putting that out there. And so studios where we're actually working, we're doing our projects, we're doing different things, but beyond the scheduled time that is called studio, we're actually in a studio. This is the freshman studio. I love the child film.
Yes, this is Tayo in my studio.
The studio.
Yay!
And so with that, each year will have their own dynamic, their own studio culture, and I'm very curious to know what your studio culture is like, your favorite moments, worst moments, drama, no drama, I don't know. But first, how would you describe your entire year as a studio? Are you more laid back, more like go get it? Or actually, let me start. Are y'all more collaborative or competitive? Because there's a lot of stigma in different architecture schools. There are very competitive studios where everyone's like, don't look at my work, oh, I need to be the best and whatnot. Which, I mean, if it works for them, go ahead. But I find at USC in general, our studio culture is much more collaborative, much more, not necessarily laid back, but we're not like trying to chop each other's head off with our project.
No.
There may be 1 or 2 people in your class, not gonna lie, who's like, oh, I'm gonna outdo you or whatever. But how would you describe your year, the dynamic?
Well, we recently took a trip to, I don't want to drop any names, so it's another Southern California Institute of Architecture.
No, we can name them Sci-Arc. Mark. I know, it's commercial. SCI dash. Founded by, okay.
And well, I mean, they're known for, I guess having this, I don't know. I don't really want to generalize too much, but having a culture that's much more competitive, which I think is one reason why I really appreciate USC architecture so much. Is like, I feel like at least in our year, like everyone's like so collaborative, and it's not just our like first semester studio, but like all the studios now as well are just very collaborative, and I don't know if I can say the same about our peers at SciArc.
Yeah, adding on to Tayo's thing, I don't think it only applies to our year. I also think a lot of the upperclassmen are also just like very kind, and you can always go to them and ask them for help. Like I always bother a bunch of third years, and I'm like, please help me, So yeah, I really think just the whole school in general in our year, very collaborative. Like you can just go up to anyone and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, how'd you do that? I think I did that once. Like I saw someone's cologne bottle and I was like, that's sick. How did you do that? And he like explained it to me. So
I like walking around, especially when there's pinups from the different years and different studios, just like walking around, seeing everyone's work, and then like being able to like not like take ideas, but like take inspiration from everyone's work and then like use it in my own stuff, and then like do the same when I'm making things. And I like how collaborative everything is. It's very much like a melting pot of design.
Yeah, nobody wants to see you drown. Some people do, like with the they just like gatekeep commands in Rhino. So
Really? Who's gatekeeping?
Who? Names.
I'm not name dropping.
What is that?
Wait, people are really gatekeeping commands?
So they want to see you suffer and like do all the.
Wait.
what? No, actually,
yeah,
yes.
Now you know.
Actually, yes. I'm not gonna name drop,
Yeah.
but a certain someone that was supposed to help us.
That's what I'm referring
Draw
to.
sections. So we got the plane and we lined it up, whatever, split everything, and then flattened it. Like you have to keep adjusting it so you can get the right section you want. And then after, they showed us clipping plane. It was like, look at this command. You can just like move it and see what kind of section you want. Draw a plane, and there you go. You get the section you want. And we're like, oh, this halfway into the first semester.
My heart plummeted, like to the ground.
That person is gate kept a lot. And they're like, oh, we just want you to learn.
Well, I mean, I guess you may get one or two people like that in general. Also, no hate to SciArc, really. Just put it
We
out
love
there.
SciArc.
We love
We do.
SciArc.
They have really cool projects. If anything, we're jealous.
Yeah.
Can we please
I'm
use your
so
spray
jealous
booth?
of SciArc.
Have you seen their models? Like, take the cake.
Yeah.
Right.
Their
That's
spray
enough,
room.
right?
The spray
Their spray
room.
Their spray
room.
room.
Yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of
Oh, let's
facilities
talk
like
about
that.
that. The amount of signs around this building, no spray painting, no spray painting. But you know we need to spray paint. We're the
Yeah.
one has to do. But yeah, go SciArc, go y'all, go y'all. But anyways, yeah, I will say that your year, honestly, you guys seem very nice.
That's good. That's good.
Like, I mean, I can't say I know many freshmen except you all now, but you all are very approachable. And I love that your year, well, no, you guys seem like a family. But I want to know, like, how is managing relationships with people within studio? Because let me see, with studio, you're seeing each other every single day. Unlike other majors, right? You may make friends with your roommates or clubs you join or the people you met during orientation, your best buddies. I mean, same with you all. But what's different with architecture is that you're going to know the people in your class and you're seeing them every single day for the rest of your degree. Not that that's a problem, but just saying that sometimes that can be fun and sometimes it can't. Maybe you get tired or exhausted of everybody, or maybe you fell out with one of your good buddies, or so on and so forth. You know, you never know. So how has it been getting used to that, seeing the same faces every day? Has it not been an issue, or have you? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like at least for our friend group, it's like I feel like we're kind of far along in the semester. But if there's any issues, try to get it communicated ASAP. But like, typically, I think since we know we're going to see each other every day, like we want to get whatever saltiness out the way. Like, okay, guys, let's just put this behind us and let's move on because we got 4 more years of this. So let's just continue onto our path. But like, other than that, I think we're pretty chill. Like, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's
You don't.
fair.
You don't.
No, I believe you 100%.
Maybe next year. We'll see.
No. Actually, no, I think what you're saying is great, and you should maintain that sort of, positive mindset when it comes to making friends and having each other. The only reason I said this is because I'm seeing a couple of looks across the table, but that's okay.
I've got something to say.
Okay, just making sure. But no, that's really good to hear. I think, well, it not necessarily is a hard adjustment, when you're, stuck with people like this. Because, I mean, you've been through this during high school, although high school is different. But it can be a lot of fun. These are your best buddies. You're all going to be so close. When you do study abroad, you're going to, like, really be so close. And that's really fun, but I want to make sure that, I would like to know that just hasn't been an issue for you all or anything, right?
It has.
No, I mean, like, no one's perfect. Like, it's.
I mean,
things
yeah, no
happen.
one's perfect. Yeah, things happen.
Yeah, that's why I moved to the 3rd floor to do my work, so I could escape from all of you guys.
You don't have too much of us. Yeah, maybe don't room with like architecture people. Like, at least for me, I went in specifically knowing that I did not want to room with an architecture classmate, just because I know I was gonna see their faces like forever, like outside. Just,
My roommate's an architecture major, and
well, you guys
I
are
feel like
lovely though.
yeah, it's convenient because you guys operate on the same schedule.
That's true.
So yeah, you think
I don't know. I guess you have your own preferences.
I think my room is a break from architecture.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I think my roommate treats it the same. Like it's an escape from her major. It's just like a quiet space to both of us share.
Yeah.
And that's good. And so with that, I also want to know, how were you have you all been able to make friends outside of architecture? I know that architecture buddies are the greatest and bestest, but there's so much there's so much out there at USC in general, but in college there's so many different people to meet, and I'm sure everybody in architecture and the circle of friends you meet are great, but how are you all able to make friends outside of architecture? How is managing that? And
I saw you in a different country with my other friend group. So, I went to Costa Rica with my gateway friends, the people I live with in my apartment, just they're on the same floor. So I feel like it's easy to have my architecture friends, but then also like when I start hating them, to go and deviate.
Yeah, I'm in the Trojan marching band. Like, fight on, fight on. Yeah, so
Wait, and you study architecture?
Yeah.
That is. Did you see that like proposal thing that they did with the marching?
yes, it was so cute in front of the party. It was adorable. It was alumni.
That is
yeah.
great. Wait. Wait.
Yeah.
What instrument do you play?
I play horns, so we do the doo-boo, doo-boo at the very end of the
Wow.
conquest song. Yeah.
You know, I always wanted to know, are those like suits like hot?
Yeah, they're really hot. They're like this thick. So summer football weather.
Oh my gosh, and I'm so sorry I'm getting off topic, but how are you? Sorry, how are you managing that with architecture? Like, when is your practice? And
So actually, practice is at the exact same time as studio. So for
Wow.
freshman year, I couldn't do like the halftime shows, but I did do like the pregame show. So I still like found my community. I still do the pregame show every game, and like it's just so fun. I started doing band camp. Like we all move in like 3 days before actual move-in date. So I kind of actually made my like marching band friends before my architecture friends.
wow.
And all my architecture
True.
friends are
Not
good
true.
friends. Oh my god, Bryce and I were good friends in the summer. We
Discord,
met over.
Forgot about you.
But I mean, like the big group of friends I made was like in the marching band, and it's so funny because I'm so integrated in both friend groups that they kind of know each other. Like the two worlds collide all the time when we eat and stuff. So I don't know, it's lovely.
Go you, I love to hear
Yeah.
that. That's good. No, but that's great. You find community within architecture and outside as well. You were going to say something else?
I guess just for me, I'm more of a quieter person, so my friends are usually just out of like my whatever situation I'm in. I do know that like my closer friends are in architecture just because I'm here all the time and they're here all the time. But I do have other friends who are just like people I've met either in a class or because we're neighbors, but I've never really like met friends other ways, if that makes sense.
That's valid.
I feel like all of my non-architecture friends live in my building because like we like Lily we moved in a couple days early and we had like courtyard connections or whatever, so like that's where we met and then we've just been friends ever since. So
Well,
Oh, sorry. No, definitely first semester, like all my friends were architecture people, and then anyone outside of architecture, they were just like mutuals I met through other architecture people. Like just like the whole connection thing. But definitely this semester, I've made an effort to try and get myself more out there and talk and like join more clubs. So I'm a part of VSA, which is like the Vietnamese Student Association, and I went on a spring retreat with them. So yeah, I definitely got to meet a lot of people there. So it's great.
that's good. Well, I would say my one advice to incoming freshmen in architecture is very easy to get, I don't want to say stuck because, architecture people are great, but I would just continue to urge you to, go out there, meet new people, make new experiences, because it would also reflect in your work. The more you learn, the more you meet, the more interesting topics you find out there when you meet new people. So that's just my piece of advice. But lastly, I want to talk about how architecture fits with you. You've been doing it for so long now, it's probably taking up majority of your time. Do you have other interests? Is architecture your only interest? These are the years where you just really develop yourself, what you want to do with architecture. And I would love to know, how does architecture serve you? So I'm going to go first just to give you an example. But I love architecture, but I'm not a eat, breathe, sleep architecture kind of person. So with architecture, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to do. But outside of architecture, I love creating my own personal art. I like making a podcast. I like traveling and hanging out with friends. And I'm currently still working on getting a balance where I do a lot of my architecture work, and then there's a point where I stop, or I tell my professor, hey, this is where my project is going, and unfortunately I have no more time or money to put into this, so we're gonna have to keep pushing with this design. But I have points where I make sure to give myself breaks from architecture, because personally architecture serves me to a certain extent, and then there's everything else I want to do. So that's with me. I like architecture and I like other things, and sometimes they intertwine, but as of right now, architecture isn't my everything or my end all be all. Sometimes you do find people who eat, breathe, sleep architecture, and I'm happy for them. But I would love to know, up to this point, do you think you all have found how architecture serves you? Are you still figuring it out? Or how would you express how much of a part architecture is of your life?
Well,
It's a loaded question.
yeah, a little
It's
bit.
okay.
I mean, well, like just like outside of architecture, I like already mentioned I did marching band. I did marching band like all of high school as well. So music has always been like my source of creativity. I only like started really honing into this like 2D art, like architecture stuff, I think sophomore, junior year. Because ever since then, like elementary school was flute, and then it was like all these different instruments kind of growing up with that. And I've kind of learned to intertwine the two. You'll find a lot of connections between music and architecture. So I guess that was kind of how architecture served my other art, just finding the different connections. But also architecture has introduced me to a lot of new friends. I wouldn't have met Bryce over the summer over Discord.
Thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the shout out.
Yeah, so like I also game a lot, same with Bryce, so that's a passion we share, and like a hobby we share. And I guess we played a lot of Minecraft,
We
like
did.
a ton.
I can also relate to like the whole music thing because I was in orchestra my whole life essentially too, just surrounded by music. So, I mean, I'm not in any orchestra thing here, but hopefully in the future I can kind of incorporate my music background into my architecture as well. Yeah, still definitely navigating that whole thing.
I think like college is just the place about finding yourself. So you kind of forced to just deviate from architecture and like join different clubs that are for your identity. And like I enjoy rock climbing, and I've never done that before college. And so like I'd done that. I went to Bishop, the climbing team. So I have time to like do other things in architecture, but it's like, well, I can't go climbing today because I've got to work on my project. So I do sacrifice a lot of those other hobbies for architecture, but it doesn't prevent you from finding those other things you want to do.
Like last semester, one of my projects was like surrounding dance, and I don't have a dance background, but like it ended up like inspiring me to pursue that. And so now this semester I'm taking like a ballet class. I've never taken ballet before, and it's like it's really fun.
Yeah.
But like when there are projects that I'm really interested in, that's like really all I can think about, and so that's all I want to do. But if there are projects I'm not as interested in, then I tend to like gravitate towards like art, because that's like my default. Like I've always been into art, or The Sims. I love The Sims. Yeah, stuff like that, and dance now. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like architecture made me put like most of my hobbies like on the back burner, just cause like priorities, cause like I can like crochet and read like anytime. Like I don't have to do it like every day. But I'm starting to find the balance of where I could also like just do things I enjoy that like doesn't necessarily relate to my work, and just like finding that like balance of like having like me time and then also like getting caught up on architecture work. So
We definitely need me time.
I mean, yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, I feel like I'm more of one of those eat, breathe, sleep architecture people.
No, but I'm happy for you.
I mean, look, that was more like first semester, you guys all know.
Let me reiterate, there is nothing wrong with eat, breathe, sleep architecture. I just realized there are different kind of architecture students. There are people who love it to an extreme. Well, no, not in a bad way. I'm so sorry. I don't mean in a bad way. There are people who have the capacity to dedicate their all to architecture, and they're always really good at it as well. And they find their happiness completely in architecture, which is great. Then there are some people who need to have more of a balance between architecture and something else for their own sanity, or maybe they have more hobbies. But Tayo, you were saying...
Yes. Yes, to continue. I think the environment that was fostered in our first semester of architecture was definitely one where I think all of us were kind of eat, sleep, breathing architecture. And now I'm kind of trying to do my best to separate myself from that. But at the same time, I really do enjoy architecture, and like I really do enjoy working on my projects. So like I don't really mind like just staying here and just working on stuff.
No, I think that's great. And if that works for you, you do exactly that. I think it's commendable. I guess maybe if anything, I wish I was eat, breathe, sleep architecture, but I think that is really great. And, as we're closing off, right, you all are the next generation of, well, actually, no, I didn't even ask, do you all want to be architects? Because, sometimes studying architecture does not necessarily lead to a path of architecture, but to be an architect. But do you all aspire to be architects, or how do you want architecture to serve you, if you've thought about it?
I do. I mean, I kind of went in this 5-year program knowing that I wanted to be an architect, but I have heard people like who go into fashion and like furniture design, which is really cool too. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to end up in architecture, but before I really settle on it, I want to like experiment with different careers in design. So like the furniture design, the product design, fashion design. I really like design, and so I feel like architecture is something I could apply to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Lily. I feel like I've came into like this because I wanted to like be a licensed architect.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you guys are saying. But yeah, I definitely, before I like settle down and do architecture, I'll settle down. But I definitely do want to try it and explore different things. Like a couple weeks ago, I went to LACMA and I got to meet some exhibit designers, and they have a background in architecture. So I think this is like so totally sidetracking, but like going into architecture school, I thought it was just architecture, but there's so many like different pathways you can go into, which I think is really interesting and fun to like explore in the future.
Didn't you want to do the Imagineer stuff?
Oh yeah. I think that'd be so fun. Like designing museums and roller coasters
Yeah, that's
and stuff like that. I think that'd be sick.
Well, I'm here now, but like that could change in a few years when I realize that I want to do something else. But it's definitely going to be something on the lines to do with architecture, because I think like studying here really like gets you on the path to different careers, like Arba was saying, like maybe furniture design, I'm going to like that more, or like it's going to be something in relation to what I'm doing now. So it's like I'm in the right place, I think.
I mean, I was talking with a good friend of mine earlier about this, and I think I'm not sure how this program is. It's only my first year here, but it definitely gives you the time to kind of figure out what you want in architecture, I think. And at least for me, I do want to become an architect, but I also want to get involved in academia later on, and become a studio instructor, and torture my students.
At least you know how to. From our professor last semester, you can pick up a couple tricks from him.
Well, you were almost done with your freshman year, and so based on your experiences, what is your last piece of advice for those who are going to be starting architecture school soon, and especially the new USC admits? Fight on, go y'all, because they just yeah. What would be your piece of advice to the next freshman class? Wow, you guys are basically sophomores.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
It flew by. I don't know, like get involved, find different clubs to get involved with, and don't be nervous. I was so nervous coming here, but I think maybe it was excitement. Like you'll find your people. You'll find a group of people that you'll really enjoy, and I think maybe like regardless if you're like kind of nervous about the major itself, I think after a semester or two, you'll be sure. You'll be sure. Like, okay, maybe this is the right path, or maybe this isn't. Either way, it's going to be a benefit. So it's good.
I'd say like one, don't underestimate the amount of time it's going to take you to do something. So like don't procrastinate on it. And two, don't be afraid to like fight back on ideas with your instructors. If you really don't agree with something, just like question your instructor. Don't be afraid to question your instructor.
Yeah, I'll agree with Abba's point. I feel like, especially like with talking to your instructor, for me, I guess I feel like none of my crits with my professor were like conversational compared to like other people in my studio. I feel like I was just like a yes man in a way. Like he would tell me to do something and I'd be like, okay, I'll do it. Like I didn't like question like why. And so yeah, I would agree with Abba. Just like if you're questioning why, ask why. Like don't be afraid to ask questions.
For me, I would say don't take things too seriously. Like architecture school is really the time you should be exploring and have fun. So I think, at least for me, I got very blindsided by the fact that I took things too seriously and I just like kept worrying too much. So think just like relaxing, taking a breath when you're just like all jumbled, just relax.
Have fun.
I would say just remember, like, you're not alone. All of us are, like, suffering together. So if you ever feel down, you don't have to go to the bathroom, but just, like...
She fell asleep in the bathroom.
Talk about that.
I mean, do you want to talk about it?
It was a long night.
Okay, we can talk about it. Bryce was like, where have you been? I said, I've been like 2 hours.
Yeah, this is during one of our all-nighters, and she like completely disappeared. And she's like, I was in the bathroom. I was like, oh.
Having issues or sleeping? Like,
No, I was sleeping.
yeah.
So yeah, just fight on.
So true.
That's our
so
motto.
true.
That's our motto.
Time management, and don't be afraid to push back against your studio professors, but also, respect their design sensibilities because they do know a lot and they've gone through the same things that we have.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go, just what is going on here? Just somebody can explain.
Okay, so these are our collective Smithskis. We started a tradition after each pinup, which like our major presentations, to go to Little Tokyo and buy a Smithski to commemorate getting our work finished. And this is the collection that we've accumulated.
It's like a sweet treat.
They're essentially blind boxes, so we'll buy them and then go to dinner and open them together.
During dinner,
Yeah.
I love that. This freshman class thing is really. And you even had t-shirts.
Yeah,
our matching
t-shirts, our matching We Build.
Next time. Maybe.
Next time.
Wait, how did y'all do that? Who coordinated that? Did y'all just do that?
They
or-
just emailed
They just,
us.
like,
Yeah,
oh, like,
yeah,
come pick up your
yeah, Doris
stuff.
was like,
Oh my god,
come get
we
your
have
stuff.
a surprise for
Yeah,
you guys.
I thought it was food, and I was kind of
That's really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just had a pose. They're like, okay, guys, pose and smile. So we all, during our pinup, we all looked at the camera and we're just, and now it's on the email somewhere. So.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram too?
It's on
Yeah.
Instagram.
It's always on the Instagram.
Okay. Digital footprint. That's great. My legal shirt.
But I love that. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to the next generation of architects, the class of 2028, 2027, depending on fifth year. Are you all fifth year?
We're all fine.
We're all
Yeah.
fifth year, yeah.
Unless we drop.
Gina, this is like the third time.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you all. Your energy is infectious. Absolutely love it. To those watching, thank you so much for joining us on Spotify or on YouTube. Go check it out, whichever one you haven't. Please leave a comment or any questions that you may have about the episode, or maybe you're looking forward to something else. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And this has been ARCHITORTURE, the podcast. So we'll see you next time. Goodbye.